Hi, this is Kelly Scholes, your host of the podcast Never by the Book. I'm here today with a special guest, Michael Oly Olsen. I've known Oly since he was about 8 years old. His dad was my mentor. I remember him running around as a snot-nosed little kid that, quite frankly, I didn't like having him around sometimes. He's been through a little bit in his life. He's been through some challenges. He's been through some difficulties. And those are the things we're going to talk about today. We're going to peel back the onion on Oly's life and see what he's been through and how he's gotten through it. Of course, my podcast is about overcoming obstacles, and Oly's overcome plenty in his life. So it's great to have him here.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's like being in a little movie studio or something. It's really cool.
You're a movie star now.
I just wanted to say, before we get started, our conversation just outside about the financial stuff, it was solid.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, really means a lot to me. Kelly has, to all you listeners out there, Kelly really does practice what he preaches. He had a business opportunity for me, and I was, not sure if it was the right thing. I told you about this. I don't know if that's something that I'm really into. It's a very fair deal. But he said, what'd you say? He said, hey, why don't you just share your financial stuff with me, and we'll sit down and we'll look at numbers and we'll figure out if it's a good fit for you. And that's just the kind of person that he is. He really does practice what he preaches, and he cares about people, and he wants to see them, grow. And he's honestly like a brother to me. Yeah. So, deal or no deal, I always appreciate the help and this opportunity too. Yeah. So appreciate you, brother.
Today's not about me. Today's about you.
All right.
So, all right. And for those of you that don't know Oly probably has one of the biggest hearts of any person you've ever seen. I could call Oly at any time and say I need help, and he'd be there. Yeah, that's just who he is. But I want to go back. I want to go way back.
Okay.
Talk about your childhood.
Well, you were there for most of it.
Yeah,
so,
you were 8 years old when I met you.
Yeah, I met you when that was, And, back then, man, I used to think he was cool, No.
Yeah, until I wouldn't buy you beer.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot about that. I had a great childhood. I was an only child, which was, I guess can be lonely at times, but for the most part, I had great parents. A day never went by that my mom and dad didn't tell me how much they loved me. Yeah. I mean, there was never any, question about that. It was perfectly normal, just American, upbringing, I think. That my parents were very frugal.
Yes, they were.
I don't know if extreme frugality would be a baby, but it was just so even though I was only a child, I wasn't spoiled at all. But I was loved very much, and my mom and dad were great people. Yeah. I mean, spent a lot of time with my mom. My dad and I were probably, not as close as I would have liked. But a lot of that just had to do with common interests and stuff like that. Average student, kind of just went up through grade school and all that. Met you when I was 8, so that was pretty cool. And did sports. Went to Burlington, played football and wrestling and had a ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said your parents never went a day without telling you they loved you. I met your mom and dad when I was 16 when I went to work for your dad and met you. And, your dad gave me a lot of opportunities, which I'm very, very grateful for. Right. But he gave me more opportunities in the business side than you.
Right. Yeah.
And you and I have talked about that. you know, and I think we're both on a common ground on that subject. But as you were growing up, and you know, you said, you know, you grew up as a single child, but then here I come in to your life on the business side.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. That was it was hard.
Yeah.
You know, even as an adult, you know, I mean, I still sometimes like, you know, wondered, you know, did my dad love Kelly more than he loved me? You know,
and no, he didn't.
There was just, I think, you know, you would hear all the time at the dinner table, Kelly this, Kelly this, and I think my mom would even be like, okay, you know, he's like, well, he just reminds me so much of myself when I was young and all that, you know, and so you hear that all the time, and you know, my dad and I didn't really connect on a lot of things, you know, so I think there was always a little bit of that, like, you know, I think I was a little hurt by that. But
at that age, you were playing a lot of sports, you were involved in school, and I was working.
Right.
And I know your dad didn't want you to take the path he took.
Right.
Him and I talked about that. You know, he wanted you to go to college. He wanted you to do other things. You know, your dad was a very proud man, was very successful, as we both know, helped me become who I am.
Yeah.
In return, helped you become who you are. But I think there's a disconnect because of he didn't want you in the plumbing and HVAC field.
Right.
He wanted you to take another
something
path.
better.
Wanted something better.
Yeah.
And if you look back now, I don't know if there is anything better. I mean,
I don't know what he had in mind. I know.
I think we've all been very successful.
College was really important, you
Yeah.
know, and there was, and I mean, they put money away for my college, and my problem is I really didn't care for school.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck would I go to, you know, 4 more years for?
So high school.
Bleep that out.
High school. So high school, you know, you played sports, but when did you start getting into extracurricular activities in high school as well?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You know, it's funny. It's like I started, like, you know, smoking cigarettes, you know, stealing cigarettes when I was probably, you know, 8 or 9, you know, and then
So your dad was still smoking cigarettes then?
yeah, I think so. I think that was right before he quit, and then, you know, of course, there's other uncles and aunts and people, and you know, you could buy cigarettes.
Yeah.
You know, I could ride my bike from my house. I could ride down the railroad tracks to where 7-Eleven used to be.
Yeah.
And buy cigarettes, you know, so they just would sell them to you. It wasn't a big deal back in 84 or whatever it was. I don't know, you know, so, but I started doing that, you know, started drinking, you know, smoking pot, doing, in high school, obviously that escalated to, you know, I was doing coke and stuff, and smoking crack and all that kind of shit. And I just was just, I don't know why. I mean, if you have, I mean, obviously something was missing.
Right.
You know, I mean, I'd gone to church. I believed in Jesus. I got confirmed as a, you know, Lutheran, and, which came in pretty handy when I thought I was having a heart attack a couple times. I'd be like out there like, dear God, help me. But I really don't have the piece to that puzzle.
Oh, yeah.
Just like maybe just hormones and being a kid and being scared and disappointed and hurt by something or whatever. Right. You just, you know, I don't think as a teenager that we just make good choices in general.
Typically not. Yeah.
Kind of like you.
Yeah.
But I just, but I did spin out for sure, you know.
So did you spin out in high school, or was it when you went off to college?
I think it was when I went off to college. Yeah. I kind of had, and I did have a partial football scholarship to play at Pacific, and they don't even have a football program anymore. So that tells you how the quality of them, right? So I had, but I went down there, and I remember when I went down there, I was like, okay, you really need to kind of like buckle up your bootstraps here, and kind of, this is an opportunity. And I just freaking could not pull it together. I mean, I was just drunk off my ass the whole time, so it did, I did kind of come to a big crash. I tried, going back to work, dropped out, went back, tried to
So
go
how long, I don't recall, how long did you make it in college?
just one semester.
One semester, okay.
Yeah, one semester in Oregon, and then I came back, worked for a year, and then I tried going to Peninsula Community College, and I went there for a week or two, and there I was actually doing really good. I was studying and everything. I'm
Right.
Okay, this is really my chance now, and by then I really knew I did not want to be a fucking plumber. Okay, well, I'm like, look, these guys put their hands in poop. I'm not doing it. So,
in that year you came back between your first college and your second college, probably put you on some pretty horrible jobs.
Oh yeah. I mean, digging. But the funny thing is, I always liked to dig, so it didn't really. Went to that school, and then I was good. That I really buckled down on from some schoolwork, and then I think it was like a Friday night, and this there was a party, and I just started drinking, and then just did not stop. I mean, just on. I went for days, and then my dad called, and I just kind of broke down.
At that point,
he was checking in. He was like, "Hey, son, checking in," and I was just like, I there was nowhere to hide.
Right.
I mean, you're just like.
At that point, were you doing other drugs as well?
Yeah, I had actually the reason why I went to school is because I wanted to get out of the area. Because here I was like smoking crack damn near every day.
Oh wow.
When I went to Peninsula, I was like, my mom and dad, well, why don't we just say you Skagit? I'm like, no, I want to I want to go some, So,
You knew you wanted to get out of the environment.
but I thought it was like, look, I'm a good person. I'm just hanging all around all these bad
everybody else,
people.
right?
They're just dragging me down. I'm like, I just, I knew that's what it was. In my mind, that's what it was. And then this whole thing occurred, and next thing I know, we were going heading to Sundown M Ranch over in Yakima or wherever it is, and we were going to get help. And
so what was it that put you to the point of saying, this is it, this is my rock bottom?
I was I was looking at everybody else in my life was like friends that I had, they were thriving, they were going on, doing things and everything. And it just seemed like I couldn't sink any lower, and living at home, and, you can't even, it was just getting fucked up every day. Yeah. I mean, it was like, this isn't what I really want. Right. I mean, I'm better than this. I felt like I was better than this. My parents had modeled better than this. My parents had, coached me better than this. I mean, everything, and so I was like, really, I just couldn't cover it up anymore. And I knew I had a problem. And they said, okay, we're going to send you to this place. And I'm glad I went. Freaking probably saved my life.
And how old were you then?
I was 20.
20. Hadn't even got to the legal age yet, huh?
No, never even took a legal drink.
Yeah.
I quit drinking a month and a half before my 21st birthday. And I remember, too, it was like right when that ice beer came out. It had double the alcohol by volume. I'm like, So I missed out on all that.
Hey, don't feel bad. I've never had that or an IPA or any of
Oh
that
man,
stuff.
you're missing out. Those were great.
I mean, I quit drinking at 24. I mean, yeah.
I don't know what the missing link type component really is.
Do you think part of it was maybe you felt you were disappointing your parents?
I never felt like I made my dad happy anyhow. I didn't really feel like he was ever really pleased with me. I think when I did sports, I think with the rest, he loved, he really wanted me to wrestle and he wanted me to play football and all that. And he was very proud of that. I know because I'd heard him talk about, when he clipped all my art, anytime my name was in the paper, he'd clip it out.
Yeah.
And shit, I got multiple copies of the same article. If you want any,
you got them, huh?
Yeah, I can. But he was really into fishing and his activities and work, and I just didn't really fit with any of the stuff that he had going on, and then he got into golf, and I don't know. I think that I just never really felt like I was, and I mean that with all due respect. I mean, I love my dad. I mean, I have so much respect for him and everything. I mean, he's, my hero, but, there was something missing there for sure. I didn't feel like I felt like he, loved this Kelly guy or something. I'm his second son. No, I just say that because it is how I felt, and I'm totally at terms with it and peace with all this. I know he loved me.
Oh yeah, you and I have talked.
A lot of it's just probably too, as a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid. I mean, what do you really know about? You don't. And I think that. I mean, now I see how he was, and I mean he's perfect.
Yeah,
he's a perfect dad.
Well, I'll tell you, the apple didn't fall far from the tree at all.
Probably not.
Yeah. So you go to Sundown, you go to recovery.
Yeah. I go to recovery.
And you're there for how long?
I think it was 30 days.
30 days,
28 or something days or whatever. And watched the Super Bowl in there. I remember it was in January or whatever. Okay. February or whatever it was. It was the Bills Cowboys game, and but I did learn. I learned a lot. They talk 12-step.
Okay.
And they talked 12-step program stuff. I'm not going to say which one. I don't want to do that. But it really resonated with me.
Okay.
I took to it. I was like, and it was hard for me, to be honest. I mean, I don't know how many different, 4th, 5th steps, all that, I mean, that was, I think, you could just kind of take a little bit of pieces, and there wasn't, I hadn't been to jail.
Right.
Okay. I hadn't.
Unlike me.
Right. Unlike you. I hadn't had a DWI. I hadn't killed anybody.
No car accidents.
I didn't damage my wife and kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, I'm 20 years old,
right.
But there are things out there that you do when you're drinking or, all fucked up that you look back and you're like, oh my gosh,
shouldn't have done
dear
that.
Lord, please. Nobody can know about this. You know what I mean? That nobody can know about this type of stuff. So I, had those, and I had to kind of do those in little blocks as much as I can. Got out of that program, came back here, went to work at CPI, and I started going to 12-step meetings. And I was of service. I made coffee. I did what they told me to do because I wanted to be clean and sober. I mean, it was like, and I knew, and really started kicking open the door for some other things. I mean, I really started like gaining some confidence. I started feeling good about myself.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm at work. I'm like, I can do what that guy's doing over there.
Well, that first year though, when you came back, you really.
Oh gosh.
I remember
It took
that.
me about a year to detox.
I remember that first
I
year.
had permanent brain damage.
I don't know. If
No
you,
shit.
Remember you?
The building, we were painting it.
You were
Oh
painting the
my
building.
gosh. I forgot all about that.
Did I ever tell you about the poll we had on that?
Oh, I'm sure you were betting.
We did. We had a bet on how long it would take you to finish it. So you started it like in May or June, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. And the bet was how long it would take you to finish it. So we all put in $1, and I chose June of the following year. Guess who won?
I believe it.
Yeah.
Hey, I can tell you, this is, as a person is working as hard as they can at their, we all are. People have different walks that they take.
They do have different walks.
And when you see somebody down the street, you might look at them and judge them in some way. I do. I don't want to be like that type of person, but I do. I'm a judger. And I could tell you that right now, I worked as hard as I could.
You did.
I would get up to the top of the ladder and realize that I didn't have a paintbrush.
Yeah.
And then I would get to the bottom of the ladder and then come back up and realize there's no fucking paint on it. So you got.
Yeah.
I mean, I was emotionally wrecked and really unable to hold too many thoughts up there at one time because of just the worry and. What am I doing with my life?
Right.
And then just the fog that I had from, I know I did some permanent damage with all the freaking crack I smoked. I mean, it's just you can't do that to yourself and be normal. So,
and I'll tell you, you said you felt at times your dad didn't love you and he loved me more. Those were the times where I knew your dad loved you because him and I would have arguments and fights.
Yeah.
And I'd tell him or me.
Yeah.
And he'd say, "Don't do that to me."
Yeah.
And so,
well, he had my mom to go home to, so he
did. He did. And your mom was there for you too. So I know your parents were there for you the whole time.
I honestly needed a kick in the ass.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the other big changes is when they said, "Well, we're gonna start charging you rent."
Yeah.
And I'm like, here now I'm probably 21, and they're like, "Charge me rent for what? To live here?"
Well, I'll tell you, if your dad would have loved me, I would have been the one to kick you in the ass. But he wouldn't let me because he would say, I got to go home to his mom.
I know.
So,
I know.
Well.
But that was a turnaround too.
It was.
I was like, getting that opportunity to paint the building and struggle through that and, not get fired, to be honest with you, because
Thank your dad for that.
Yeah, it wound up being a lifelong career, you know. It was really a lifelong career for me, and I'm glad that I have it. So
let's talk next episode about, where it went from there. Sound good?
Cool.
All right.
Thank you.